Hi everyone, my name is Daniel Raj. I'm working as Senior Architect at Mobilium. Today I'm going to talk about who are we and what we do, and I'm going to talk about our NFV journey and our participation at Plugtest and experiences with OSM, and finally showcase a container-based demo using OSM Release 8. Moving on to who are we and what we do. I hope the slides are visible.
Yes, they are.
Yeah, thank you. Mobilium is a leading provider of analytics solutions for the telecom industry. We deal with roaming, security, risk management, and end-to-end domestic and roaming testing. More than 900 plus operators or customers rely on our solutions in these different areas. That's a brief about Mobilium. And moving on to our NFV journey, like everyone else, we were also running our solutions on bare metal, and Solaris used to be our preferred OS choice. And we had our own hardware choices as well. Software installation and configurations used to happen manually. Based on business needs, we started using RHEL OS as well. Immediately there was a need to support virtualization. That's when we went ahead and certified our software over VMware ESXi. We ran into performance issues, and we managed to work with VMware and get them fixed, and that's how we started our first virtualization. And then moving on, we had to look at OpenStack. There were few challenges with OpenStack based approach. We had to change the way our packages were shaped, how our applications must be configured, how to support scaling. These were some of the aspects that we had to look at when we had to really look at OpenStack. Quickly, we had created a framework to build QCOW2 images and started using heat templates to onboard our VMs onto OpenStack. But that was not sufficient. There was a need to be NFV compliant. A lot of operators started asking about NFV compliance, and NFV brought in a lot of requirements to our plate. We had to build QCOW2 images for different VM types, support OpenStack based deployments along with VMware vCloud Director as well. Then we have to use the EPA features like CPU pinning affinity rules and SRIOV and other EPA requirements. So our softwares also underwent architectural changes. We moved away from the traditional databases to cloud-aware databases. Our load balancers like SmartSTP, DRA underwent changes. Applications too underwent changes to become more agile and more inclined for the cloud deployments. We had to introduce in-memory database clusters to improve the performance of the overall solution. As we have a huge operator base, we were being asked to support different combinations of MANOs or different options of MANOs that are being used in their labs. We are also being asked to have or to support SVNM based deployment. We had to relook at our for NFV we had to relook at our scripts to segregate them as day 0, day 1, and so on. Then we had to repackage the whole stuff, and we had to start thinking in those lines. Because of our thought leaders, we were able to circumvent all these challenges. Then we quickly jumped on to containers. This lasted relatively for a short span of time. We just created a framework to create container images and did some POCs, small POCs in our labs using Docker utilities. That was all about the containers. Then on the other hand, we had to support or try out Kubernetes. Kubernetes brought in too many aspects again to the plate. Some of the requirements are like we have to build OCI compliant images. We need to create Helm charts. We need to use pods, different controllers. The application KPIs and the logs must be taken out from the application, and it should be integrated with the inbuilt support that is coming from the Kubernetes clusters. We had to start looking at our scripts again to change them so that they are more inclined for the container-based deployments. We had to rework a bit for the readiness and liveliness probes and so on. In some time, I would be demonstrating that our applications can run on a Kubernetes setup using OSM. That's a demo I would be showcasing at the end of this talk. Then moving on to the plug test participation and OSM experiences. Etsy Plug Test opens up a platform to all the vendors out there in the telecom world, wherein we can validate and interop with the different VNFs, Manos, and VIMs to see if we can just onboard and test our solution out there in that 1 week or 2 weeks of the plug test activity. What we'll get is we'll get a first-hand experience with both the commercial and open source Manos and VIMs, which will not be possible if you have to have them in-house. I don't believe that you will get all these combinations to be coexisting in your lab. Etsy is such a beautiful platform wherein you will readily have all these vendors coming from different organizations. They are willing to help each and everyone out there. So that's really a fantastic activity. Actually, when I read about this event in 2017 or so, I immediately approached my manager and then the senior vice president, Chandrasekhar Marathe. When I had told him about the event, something like Etsy Plug Test, he immediately recommended us to get registered and participate in the event. And he has provided all the support that was required for us to participate in the Etsy NFV Plug Test in all the events. So I would like to sincerely thank Shekhar, Sylvia, and the entire Plug Test team for such a wonderful event every year. Thank you so much. On the other hand, to talk about OSM, in my personal opinion, it is very simple and it is evolving to be the most powerful Mano out in the market. Why I mean that is to deploy or to install, it doesn't take any efforts. I have tried OSM release 8 in my lab and even the older releases that we have tried. Installation, we never faced any issues. It was just pretty easy. It comes in different forms and usage also is very, very easy, and the number of functionalities that are growing every year, every release, in fact every release I would say, is enormous, and that allows us to create network services with very few number of VNFs and to a complicated setup that we did a multi-vendor demo. It has a lot of features that are required for a NFV deployment. So during the plug test, basically we were looking out for a Mano which can support both OpenStack and VMware VCD So actually, I ended up doing our hands-on using OSM in our Plactus 2. We were able to successfully instantiate our VNFs both on OpenStack and VMware vCloud Director using OSM. That was really a wonderful experience for us. There were multiple organizations involved in this this multi-vendor demo, wherein we were simulating the LTE core networks. Uh, uh, so as part of this showcase, what was required was, as you can see, there are multiple components involved, multiple organizations involved. The problem statement was just to create a network service. When we instantiate the network service, all the components that are present here should come up independently and should be able to start the applications, not just starting the applications, but they should also connect to the peer component as and when required. And not just that, so we had to we were successfully sending out the messages, test messages, all the way from the vRAN to the HSS and back to the handset. So all this was possible because of OSM, the support it provides, and the number of features it provides. It's really great to use OSM, and so we had successfully demonstrated this multi-vendor demo in just a fraction of time, and when we had instantiated, everything came up as expected. They all got connected to the different network nodes, and then there was successful call flows that had passed through all these components, and that had demonstrated that multi-vendor NFV is possible. So multi-vendor demo would not have been possible without OSM and without my friend Gian Pietro. I thank him and thanks OSM community for such a wonderful opportunity to showcase this multi-vendor demo. Then moving on to our container-based deployment architecture, we are still evolving on this. So this is at the high level. All our solutions and applications are layered into multiple layers so that they are resilient and they provide high availability and they can sustain the load and they can scale independently across the layers. So these are some of the components that we would be dealing with. Then let me talk about the demo part now. So before we jump onto the demo, I would like to emphasize on the prerequisites that are required for a container-based demo. So we would need a working OpenStack setup. By working OpenStack setup, what I mean is there should be a private entity. We would need a working network that is available in this OpenStack environment. I'll talk about that in the demo time. So I had reused one of our OpenStack setups that are available in our lab. So we would need a working Kubernetes cluster and we would need OSM. Then we would need container images and we would need a container image registry wherein I can pull my images using the Helm charts, or when the KNFs are being instantiated, they would be pulled from this repository or registry. So we would need working Helm charts. By working, what I mean is you should have tried and tested out these Helm charts using Helm commands directly onto the Kubernetes cluster, even before you try them using the OSM manu. Why is that? Because if there are some errors or if there are some problems in the Helm chart, probably when you instantiate your KNFs from OSM, in the beginning they might come up, and after some time it's about 30 minutes or so. I believe it is 30 minutes or so. After that time, if there are some resources that are still waiting in waiting condition, the OSM will go ahead and terminate all those pods that were instantiated using that Helm chart. So it's always essential that you validate your Helm charts directly onto the Kubernetes cluster using the Helm commands. Once you're through that, I would recommend you go ahead and create your descriptors, KNF and network service descriptors on the OSM. So to pull this Helm charts, we would need a Helm repository. For the lab environment, I had used Chat Museum to pull all the Helm charts. Okay, let's move on to the demo now. So these are the components that would be in the demo. Let me go ahead and show you the demo now. This is OSM Release 8 that I have installed in my lab setup, and let me log in here. So you would see two containers already instantiated, DB and Nginx. In the interest of time, I'll speak about these in a while. Let me go ahead and instantiate network NTR, the application container. So while this container is coming up, let me speak about the DB, why I have instantiated the DB upfront. So as part of my DB container, whenever I bring up my database, I also want to configure my tables, create the tables and pre-pop the data. So if I do that, it takes about 5 minutes. So I wanted to cut short that time, and hence I had upfront created this database and Nginx. So Nginx, I'll be using it as a NFS drive kind of stuff, wherein I'll host my database dump or any of these scripts or any of the configuration files. Whenever the container is coming up, it would pull in the DB dump from the Nginx container, and it would instantiate and it would import that database dump into the container. And finally, the database would be available for the applications application usage. Now that we have instantiated NTR, it says that it has come up and it is configured. Let me show you pods. Okay. So as you can see that there are 4 pods running. As part of NTR, what I've done is as part of NTR, what I've done is I installed NTR along with the Smart STP container. That's why you'll see 4 containers up and running out there. Let me go ahead and instantiate the other containers as well. So let me bring up the simulator. while the simulator is coming up, let me cover some key concepts that everybody should be aware to do a container-based deployment. So the first thing is you have to configure a Kubernetes cluster. When you try to add a cluster, it will ask you for the name and the KTS version. And if you look at this keenly, it is asking you for a Vim account. This again is very important. So you will have to create you'll need an OpenStack setup, and you will be using one of the networks from that OpenStack setup. Then the most important aspect is NS. So here I have used a private network, a private underscore network as my OpenStack network. So please keep in mind about this private underscore network. I'll talk about this when I go to the service descriptors. So if these don't match, let me talk about it a bit later. So you will fill in all these details and you will say go ahead and create it. Once you create a cluster, it shows that its operational status is enabled. Then you can go ahead and create a repo, which would be your Helm repo. So I can go ahead and I can fill in all these details. This is fairly simple. So this will host Helm repository for us. Then moving on to the NSD and KNFDs. KNFD is fairly a simple task. I believe you should be able to look at the sample descriptors and be able to write these KNFDs. The other important aspect of network service descriptor is this guy. So Vim network name. So if you remember, while I was creating a cluster, I had specified a network name, which is private underscore network. This network should exist in your OpenStack setup, and you should reference that here. So if you go wrong in any of these places, it is likely that you will run into issues. So that's all about the descriptors. And coming back to the instances, so my simulator is also up and running. Let me go ahead and create my last container, which is IMaaS. This is our GUI. So while the container is coming up, let me quickly log into the simulator and pump some traffic or pump some load and see that the traffic is being received by the application. Let me demonstrate that. So as you can see, there are multiple containers now, and IMaaS is still under the creation process. So let me log into VLR Sim, which is my simulator, and let me also log into NPR. So now there is no traffic at all. Let me start the traffic. As soon as I start the traffic, there would be a new file created in the application, which is this file. And if I do tail -f of this file, you will see that the messages are being received. What are these messages? Basically, I have replaced MME and HSS with VLR Sim. And from this simulator, we will be sending out update location, which would be sent to SmartSTP or DRA container. And then from here, it would be given to the application. There can be multiple instances of NTR. and Smart STP or DRA would ensure that it goes to the right container. And then the application would do a DB query and would respond back with a acknowledgement or a reject message towards the VLR SIM. So let me stop the load. You can see as soon as I press stop the load, it is stopped. So I also wanted to showcase the Grafana chats, but I ran into some issues, and because of that, I am unable to show the graphs. There is one more thing. We have not seen the GUI. Let me showcase that as well. So I have created a service which is actually a load balancer type, but because of my constrained environment, I have not set up a load balancer type, and because of that, I had used node port. So to access my IMAS, I'm going to use the node port port. This is our GUI. I can log into this GUI, and then I can add all the business logic that is required from the GUI. That's all for the demo. In closing, I would like to summarize few points or some aspects that might be of interest to you guys. Probably some of these might be already covered in the next releases, or probably they are already existing. But let me go through this list. So during the instantiation, it is good to have a refresh button, which is present in TEOSM version of OSM. So Helm repository today it works without credentials, but in future, if someone mandates to use credentials, we'll have to think about that as well. Repos for Helm chart is mandatory. When it comes to VNF, it was possible to upload the network packages or the VNF packages, but for containers, now that we are using Helm charts and KNFDs and the network service descriptors, we will have two different packages at two different places, which might be a concern later on. So it's just a thought. For Kubernetes-based deployment, we need a working OpenStack setup. There can be cases where we are provided only with Kubernetes cluster and there's no OpenStack setup. In those case scenarios, probably this might be a problem. For Kubernetes, for container-based deployments, I wish I had an option to specify the sequence in which my containers should come up first. As you have seen, I wanted my database to come up first and then the application and so on. So today this sequencing was missing. Probably that would help. And coming to the KNF and network service packages, today it should not exceed 15 MB. But if I want to get away with the Nginx container, and probably I want to push my database dump directly from the network package, I am not allowed because of this 15 MB limit. Those are some of the thoughts that I had. Overall, the way OSM works and the way OSM is evolving is really awesome, and it's an amazing experience for us. And I would say that it is one of the best manuals out in the market. Thank you so much for your time.
So Daniel, thank you so much for that presentation. And I'd like to ask questions from the attendees.
Yeah, hi, this is Shweta. I just wanted to know, did you use any kind of charms in this deployments?
Hi Shweta, yes, for the what is that multi-vendor demo, I had used Juju Charms to configure our applications. So I was pushing the application configuration files using Charms.
Here in the KNF one?
Not in the KNF. I had used that for the VNFs.
Okay. Okay, thanks. We got a really good insight of, the hands-on which you did. Thank you.
Thanks, Shweta.
Are there any other questions? People can also ask questions in the chat box if they don't want to speak up. And as always, if there are further questions, certainly those questions can be sent to Sylvia or myself, and we'll be happy to facilitate the answering of those questions and getting them to the right participants and members that speak today at our ecosystem day. So Sylvia, do you think we should move on? We are still, I think, ahead of schedule.
We are 2 minutes ahead of schedule. I think if there are no more questions, we can move on. If there's one last question for Daniel, we might still have time for it. Anyone else? Okay, then maybe we can move on.
Oh, so
Okay.
is this one more question that we see here in the chat box? How is the minimum configuration?
In terms of what? I didn't understand that question.
Yeah, I know we might need a bit of clarification. In terms of hardware, okay. Hardware installation.
Okay, so I went ahead and used whatever was recommended in the OSM website. That should suffice. Hope that answers your question.
Okay, there is one more question. Can you please tell me more about Helm repo? Why do we need that?
As you would have seen, so it is a mandatory step during the instantiation. So let me go to the package. So if you look at any of these descriptor files, I'll have to refer my Helm chart and I'll have to specify the Helm repository and then the Helm package that would be required to instantiate this container. So that way we are forced to configure a repository. So if that really helps, right? So if you want to upgrade in the future, so you don't have to really worry about the package lying somewhere else. So you can just update your descriptor here and then you can reinstantiate it.
Okay, it looks like you've answered the question. Thank you very much for doing that. I think we are really answering all the questions here, so I think we're ready to probably wrap up. And Daniel, thank you so much again for working with OSM and coming in today to share your experiences with the organization and the community.